What's approaching the supreme moment? Reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead.
What's good? Let's have some fun and max out a unit. So if we scroll all the way to my older units, who am I going to max out? None other than this Extreme Intelligence free-to-play Final Form Cooler unit. Now, I'm going to go ahead and preface this by saying I made the decision to do this a while back just because he's a really old unit, and when I first started playing this Dokkan battle game, it's one of those units that I've always had I don't know, nostalgia for. So I went ahead and farmed all the medals, and I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the medal grind for this was definitely a pain in the ass. I mean, you're essentially looking at like close to 60 medals each just for the dupes, and had to do it 4 times over, so a lot of medals to collect. And technically this guy does drop in that same story event, but the drop rates are pretty horrendous, so picking up the dupes was definitely a pain in the ass. But glad that's over with. Honestly, do not repeat what I'm doing. What you're supposed to be doing with this unit is feeding the SA toward the other Final Form Cooler units. So I do not recommend doing this. I repeat again, I do not recommend doing this. I'm more or less doing this for collection purposes and just adding another 100% unit to my collection. Alright, so this guy doesn't really bring any sort of special skill sets with the super attack or passive, so just gave him as much critical hits levels as I can. So yeah, let's go ahead and waste some orbs and max this guy out. It definitely does look pretty nice. When I first started playing this game, I always thought the artwork on this guy was pretty nice. So the fact that I finally get to see this guy at rainbow status is a pretty nice feeling, especially since I'm at that 3-year mark of playing this game pretty much every day. So definitely a little bit of nostalgia there. So let me cover the stats a little bit, because it'll tell you how old this unit actually is and how horrible the stats actually are. So leader skill, tech and intelligence type attack increase of 25%. That's it. Super attack is the supernova, causes extreme damage to enemy. Remember, it's extreme damage. All right. And for the passive skill, attack and defense increase of 1500 at the start of turn. So it's not even not only is it a bad percent rate, it's not, I mean, it's a 1500 increase to attack. I mean, you're looking at like a lean skill that would have more than that, right? So it's pretty bad passive skill. In terms of links, he does have strongest clan in space. That's +2 key. Thirst for Conquest is 15% increase to attack. Prodigies is 10% increase to attack. And then Big Bad Bosses will add 25% increase to attack and defense when HP is 80% or below. So for this video's purpose, it's going to be heavy reliance on the Big Bad Bosses and Thirst for Conquest link skills, just to provide additional 40% toward the attack for the cooler unit. And you're pretty much going to see him linked up with the Turles unit pretty much all throughout the video, just because Turles does have both of those links and also does have the passive skill to increase attack by 40% for all allies. So just going to get as much help as possible with that setup. And the category that he's on is the movie bosses. So of course, in order to maximize his potential, that's the category team I ran with. I did see there that he did hit pretty decent, but I scaled it down to Boss Rush 3. I don't think this guy's ready for the big leagues. I don't think he can handle, fucking with the big boys. So, scaled it down to Boss Rush 3 and see how he does, basically. The Transformed Turles unit is providing an 80% defense drop for the super types, and then, the other Turles unit for 40% increase to attack. So even with that in mind, I mean, the cooler unit really didn't hit for jack shit. So like I said, this is more or less me having fun. You could say that I'm trolling a little bit too, but this is the reason why you guys are subscribed to the channel. You want to see videos like this every now and then where it's really obscure and unique units at 100% potential. Every now and then I like to do this kind of stuff, so hopefully you're enjoying it just as much as I am. I mean, honestly, I have no regrets doing this. I'm actually pretty happy and satisfied that I was able to get this guy finally to 100% potential. So it's definitely more or less, like I said, I'm not really going to use this guy. I've got the other cooler units that are much better. But again, collection purposes, as a trophy, it doesn't really get that much better, especially because he's my fourth oldest unit in my deck. So he's definitely a real throwback. You know what I'm saying? So, in that regard, I have no regrets with that. You saw the video a while back about the Family Kamehameha Goku unit that I ended up maxing out to 100% just, as a, I don't know, I guess like a tribute in a way to one of the old school units in the game. Luckily, his EZA is actually pretty good, so he can still, be relevant. But unless this guy gets a hell of an upgrade, yeah, he's not going to help at all. If they do give him a Dokkan Awakening, they really have to update the passive skill. I mean, 1500 increase to attack and defense at the start of turn, that is completely unacceptable in today's age of Dokkan battles, so it's definitely going to have to switch over to some sort of percent rate. But besides that, his super attack is extreme damage, so far away from any of the stronger units in the game. So I guess in that regard, I mean, this guy's doing pretty well given the circumstances. But again, more or less, like I said, just having some fun. His attack potential is absolute garbage. I'm not gonna deny that, but since I maxed him out, might as well show him off a little bit. Alright, so finally got Dokkan mode with this guy, so let's go ahead and see how he's actually able to do with Dokkan mode. And the Goku that he's actually attacking is very, very weak. I mean, we're talking about a very weak enemy here, so that'll put it in perspective how outdated this card actually is. And I'll let it ride with the Turles unit attacking if Goku does survive, and then that'll serve as a comparison of how obsolete this unit actually is. So about 877,000, and then a little bit of HP left. So Turles is, this guy has no dupes on him, and he's hitting for 752,000. So yeah, just to break it down, that pretty much identifies the difference in class this cooler is in compared to the other guys on the team. And don't let that 598,000 in damage with the criticals fool you. I mean, let's be honest, this Goku unit was a pretty weak enemy, so don't have like realistic expectations that he's going to hit like that on the newest Dokkan events, because he won't. I'll test him on another video, but it's pretty likely that he's not going to hit anywhere close to that level. You'd be lucky with maybe like 250,000, 300,000 maybe with the critical. Still, at the end of the day, I do love the artwork, so for me it was worth it. Still had decent amount of orbs. I am going to use up some of the orbs on the meta cooler. Still haven't picked up the additional dupes from the Baba shop for it, but once I do, I'll probably end up giving that guy a hell of an upgrade. So right now in the video, he is on the team providing support to Cooler, but yeah, that's why his SA isn't hitting that hard in terms of potentials. Yeah, he's at SA level 1 and no dupes yet, so I've already got a dupe, and then I'm gonna collect some more. So once I get that set up over the weekend, like he's gonna be massively improved. So he did hit for 410,000 there. Definitely decent, but he's not gonna hit like that every time. Let's just be honest. So both of these Turles units are transformed, and I wish it was against the super type, because you're looking at 80% decreased sword, their defense on both sides. So, if it was a super type enemy, then it would have been a hell of a defensive drop, and Cooler could have hit for a pretty decent amount. Similar to, I guess, the Tech Super Boo video that I just did earlier, and I'm sure a couple people were questioning whether it was my main account or on a server, and that was on my main account. I got bored one day and did it. So I've got a couple units where I've maxed out to rainbow status that more than likely you shouldn't, but I did it anyway, as a form of, I don't know, trolling or just first world Dokkan problems, I guess. You get bored one day and you've got a lot of orbs to spare and end up doing some dumb shit. So that's pretty much what I do when I get bored and have a lot of free time. I end up maxed out units that shouldn't be maxed out, but it makes things a lot more fun for me, and I enjoy it. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video of the Extreme Intelligence Final Form Cooler unit. I doubt a lot of you guys have actually seen it or even remember this card existed. So hopefully you enjoyed it again. Thanks for watching, and I'll check you guys later.